Now that all the dust has settled from the Watches and Wonders event in Geneva there a few weeks ago, I think it's safe enough to say that most people feel that Tudor came out on top. It might be the second year in a row that they've done that. And I think it's a great brand, Tudor. I've owned a lot of Tudors. I have one on the wrist right now. But I'm having mixed feelings about the brand as a whole and exactly what they are and whether we should really be getting that excited about any of their releases at all. So at the risk of pissing even more of you guys off, let's do a bit of a Tudor rant. This episode is brought to you by Surfshark. Guys, you know I've been living abroad most of my life, but I always want to watch TV shows from back home, or when I'm traveling, I want to be able to catch up on something that was on TV or radio or whatever. That's when a VPN comes in handy. I recommend everyone get one. Surfshark is the best one. That's the one I use, and it's available for your computer, your tablet, your phone, doesn't matter. And it means you can surf the web from anywhere in the world. They have 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, so they've got you covered no matter where you want to surf from. It has extra features like incognito, which will remove data that's been left on various servers around the world. It'll also let you know when there's some sort of data breach, your email, your ID, your credit card number, anything like that. You'll get an alert from Surfshark, and it'll keep any nasty folks from getting in and maybe taking over your webcam or your microphone on your computer. And it's free to try. You have a money back guarantee. If you use the promo code OISIN on your checkout, you'll actually get 3 months free. So why not give it a shot? See if you love it. I certainly do. I use it pretty much every day whenever I want to not watch Italian TV, because honestly, it's not great here. Surfshark VPN, guys, go check it out. Use my promo code.
Can we get back to our discussion, please?
Now, I have plenty of nice things to say about Tudor at the end of this video. So if you're a big Tudor fan and you're cracking your fingers in front of your keyboard, getting ready to drill me with hatred in the comments, don't fret quite yet.
Just calm down, all right? I got this. Watch.
As you know, there are lots of brands, Watches and Wonders, and I thought there were a lot of fantastic releases. Cartier put out some beautiful stuff. Vacheron certainly did. Patek went with a very young, vibrant, fresher look on denim. But of course, as usual, most eyes are on Rolex. And there were a lot of heavy predictions about what Rolex was going to give us this year. Well, it didn't really do any of what we were expecting them to do. Myself and others had predicted the return of the 116710 LN, the all-black GMT, the Black Beauty, as some people call it. And that kind of did come true, except it has a grey lower half on the bezel. But for the most part, it's essentially that watch back in the catalogue, and I don't think anyone is complaining about that. But Rolex gave us a lot of stuff that we didn't really ask for. One of the main things that people were waiting for, of course, was a return of the GMT watch with the red and black bezel. That, of course, did not happen, and not even the Pepsi was discontinued, which many people thought was definitely going to happen. So Rolex fans were kind of left a little disappointed. Right next to Rolex, however, was the Tudor stand. And lo and behold, a GMT with a red and black bezel was released over there. And the word got out pretty quickly that Tudor are actually the brand listening and not Rolex. That Tudor respect their audience and give them, quote unquote, what they want. And that whole thing left me feeling a little cold.
I don't know what to think.
For one, I have an issue with the give us what we want thing. It's never been that way in the watch world or most worlds of design and art and architecture and so on. It would be really odd if, as a group of fans, we just shouted out requests and Rolex were just writing everything down, go, oh yeah, what would you like? What would you like? Like they're taking orders in a deli or something.
Now, what do you want?
Curry chips.
No curry chips.
Why not?
Because we're not fucking Chinese. This is an Irish chip, all right?
But Tudor seemed to be doing exactly what the audience want. They seem to be handing us the things that we're looking for that Rolex simply can't do. Now, as we all know, Tudor and Rolex are under the Hans Wilsdorf Foundation. So they're essentially the same company and the same bunch of guys making the decisions. And it seems to me that Tudor fulfill three objectives. Three, whichever one is three for you.
That's the German three. The other looks odd.
The first seems to be to make watches that have the build quality of Rolex, but not the price tag. You'll only spend 4,000 or 5,000 on a standard steel Tudor, whereas the Rolex equivalent is going to be at least double that, and then you'll have to face long wait lists. The second seems to be to give the audience, quote unquote, what they want, which is something no brand, I think, should ever do.
Please don't do that.
And Rolex seem to be in a crazy position there where they, of course, don't do that with their own brand, but instead do it with their sister brand. And the third objective, as far as I can see, is the rehashing of old Rolex designs. It's kind of a nostalgia room. So the big news this year from Tudor was this Black Bay 58 GMT with the black and red bezel, or they're calling it burgundy bezel. A gorgeous watch, very handsome watch. I'm sure it looks great on the wrist. But I have an issue with this design.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, here we go.
Here we go again.
Take a look at this. That is a Rolex 6542 from the 1950s. It's a classic old design. It had a Bakelite bezel. And even though the bezel was originally blue and red, almost all of them faded down to black and a deep red or burgundy. If I put that side by side with Tudor's latest release, you can see that they're practically the same watch.
Okay, so...
Last year, the Tudor Black Bay Pro came out, or was it 2 years ago? I can't remember. And everyone spotted the similarities to another old favorite from Rolex, the 1655. The similarities are undeniable.
Okay, so what do we have here?
Now, if any other brand did this, we would just call them an homage brand. It's plagiarism, basically. That's what homage watches are doing. So why don't Tudor get the same scrutiny? Well, I guess it's because they are Rolex and they get to use all the designs that Rolex ever had because they're essentially theirs. The new Black Bay 41 that was just released is a no-date sub, just a slightly different version. The Black Bay 54 on 37mm that was released last year bears a striking resemblance to an old 6538, the one that Sean Connery used to wear, and the list goes on and on. So essentially what we have here is a brand that really has no identity of its own, or very little.
So what you got here, Brenda, is a guy who's been creeping around since at least 1700 and assuming their identities.
This whole thing about Tudor giving us what we wanted, quote unquote, seems like a cheap way for Rolex to just hand the fanboys some candy to shut them up. They're not coming out with brand new innovations here. It's rather like a cover band playing someone else's songs. In fairness, an original 6542 in good condition could cost you somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000. And it's probably a very delicate watch at this point. In some ways, buying the new Tudor version makes more sense because it's definitely going to be a more robust and durable watch, not to mention at a fraction of the price. But for me, apart from the Pelagos and the chronographs like this one, Tudor just doesn't seem to be a brand in itself.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Pink Floyd are one of my favorite bands of all time. Roger Waters is one of my personal heroes. And they say if you don't own a copy of Dark Side of the Moon, you know someone who does. It's one of the biggest selling albums in the history of the world. But if you want to see Pink Floyd live, you're not going to be able to. The band dissolved many years ago, and apart from regrouping very briefly for the Live 8 concert, the guys in Pink Floyd will never be seen together. But if you want to see their songs being played live, and probably played very, very well with all sorts of beautiful lights and special effects, there are a lot of bands out there that will do it, and they're called tribute bands. As it happens, I actually have a friend who sings in one of those, Ella Chi. She's an amazing singer, and she does the whole great gig in the sky thing very, very well, there's no doubt. But in the end, you're not actually seeing Pink Floyd, and you're seeing someone else recreate what Floyd had originally created back in the 70s and 80s. There's a huge difference between seeing a cover band do someone else's songs from years ago and seeing another band that is new and original and unique. So while everyone was losing their shit at Watches and Wonders about this gorgeous new Black Bay 58, I was actually disappointed.
Don't say it.
Because it felt somehow...
Don't you dare. Don't you...
a little bit cheap.
Well, don't say that. Don't say it.
What they're doing is unremarkable.
Oh, shit! God damn it!
I've sat back and taken it, but now you've crossed the line, sir.
But maybe there's a different way we should be looking at it. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. After all, what the hell is wrong with these beautiful old designs? They are classics.
That's more like it.
And perhaps Rolex see it as an opportunity to remake those classics with all the great new innovations that have come out since then, like solid end links and COSC certification, METAS movements, and so on.
Go on. I'm listening.
Perhaps it's more like George Lucas getting back in and remaking his older movies with better visual effects. Not that I'm a fan of that at all.
Oh, no, not at all like that. No.
And there's no doubt that what they're doing is facilitating that corner of the market that either doesn't have the money to spend on a Rolex or doesn't want to get into a long wait list just to pick up a simple Rolex watch. It was funny, even this year, some were hoping there would be a new Hulk coming back to the Rolex Submariner line, the green dial with the green bezel, but maybe this time in solid gold. That, of course, didn't happen, except in Tudor. It's kind of crazy. I feel like for next year, if you're trying to predict what Tudor might release, just look at the various different predictions that are going on about Rolex and then put them over into the Tudor world and you'll probably get everything right.
Wow. How did you know that?
But at the risk of repeating myself ad nauseum, that doesn't sit very well with me. I don't know what it is. There's something slightly irritating about it. So will this stop me from wearing my beautiful Tudor chronograph in two-tone? Absolutely not. Beautiful, handsome, masculine watch. A lot of people used to say that Tudor were the poor man's Rolex, to which I always say, just remove poor. It's the man's Rolex. This is a Rolex for men. It's a beefy, masculine, handsome watch. A lot of Rolex gets a little bit fancy and farty and full of bling and so on. Tudor isn't like that. They remain very tool watches and they have a certain girth and masculinity to them. And that's why I personally love the brand.
Now we're talking.
They're also not poor at all. How many people can afford a $4,000, $5,000, or in this case, $8,000 watch? Perhaps Rolex are just the overpriced Tudor, and these are priced correctly.
Oh my God. He's right.
He is not right. Don't be ridiculous.
So it's food for thought. I'm certainly not ganging up on Tudor as a brand. As I said, I've owned lots of them and I love them all. But when they release something that is a carbon copy practically of an old Rolex design just to appease the fanboys who want a Rolex to give them what they want, I'm just left cold.
Thank you very much. Thanks for nothing, all right?
So there it is. I mean, is it me? I don't know. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Okay, then.
Guys, I hope I gave you something to mull over there. If you do own a Tudor watch, like I do, keep rocking it with pride. They are stunners. I get more compliments for this watch than I do for a lot of my Rolex. So there you go. Thanks again, guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace and love.